Oh, you know what I did during the never-ending string of calamities that we've experienced over the past 5 years? Do you know what I did? Do I
What'd you
get
do?
the book?
You wrote a book.
Do you know how this transpired?
Well,
Dragged
I remember we were talking about this many years ago. How did the original idea for Drag Down Deep begin?
boring Saturday night. Alex was in his room playing Fortnite. Kayla was watching SpongeBob with a few of her girlfriends, all on, conference call, whatever. And Sharon and I were just chilling. There were no movies on, nothing to watch. We saw that. We're caught up on everything. So, Sharon's like, I'm going to go, hang out or whatever. And she was going to go read in her room. So I started watching like these creature feature monster movies I started renting them, and I watched like Universal Monsters, Dracula, and the original
No,
Frankenstein.
for me, like whenever I think about it, it's always like Expedition Unknown type
Yes.
of vibes.
So I did Dracula with Bela Lugosi and Frankenstein. You go to the Wikipedia page and see how psychotic it was filming those Universal monster movies back in the 30s. I got up to the creature from the Black Lagoon. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
Mandatory viewing.
Are these movies like the movies that like everybody bases all their stories on today? And like these guys were the originators of it?
Creature from the Black Lagoon was a retelling of King Kong. It was King Kong repurposed, but with a creature from the Black Lagoon.
So do you know where King Kong came from?
That was the first original monster falling in love with the maiden type story. So I was watching Creature from the Black, again, Dracula, Frankenstein. I threw in Night of the Living Dead. I know that's not Universal Monsters, but I was watching Creature from the Black Lagoon. And it was around the time, what was that great Guillermo del Toro movie that won Best Picture? Shape of Water.
Sure.
It was around that time. I said, why haven't they redone a real Creature from the Black Lagoon? I called Mom. I called Sharon. I'm like, I have this really cool idea. Dragged Down Deep.
What year was this?
I think it was 22. And I was like, and it was Dragged Down Deep. And I originally came up with this guy named Logan Van Buren, right? It just pops in your head. I feel like all that stuff is always there.
Do you think that that's, I don't want to get too spiritual with it, but do you think that
it's all spirituality?
It's all spirituality where your ideas, when they just pop into your head, it's like divine intervention. Has that idea always been there?
This was always written. You are literally capturing words from the universe. That's my belief. You're using your imagination. I think your imagination is connected to the all. I came up with the story, Dragged Down Deep, as the credits were rolling to the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But you don't want to copy and paste, right? You don't want to just say, okay, Creature from the Black Lagoon falls in love with a maiden, blah, blah, blah.
So then that's when you married
Indiana Jones.
But not Indiana Jones, more modern.
What would be like a modern day Indiana Jones? The guy's got a tattoo sleeve with cryptozoology creatures on it, cryptids all over.
Show the cover. Right,
that's what I want to see.
An Easter egg on there.
Yeah. So this is Logan, and Logan is being dragged down deep to the bottom of the ocean. And if you see, he has, I put Bigfoot on there. There's a mermaid on there.
Oh,
no. Right. There's Bigfoot. There's the Thunderbird right over here. There's a mermaid.
Do you have a 2 and a 3 story ready to go, or is it just...
No, it's all done. Right. I find it so hard to create one story. For me, I'm always thinking of the next.
Right, because you have to put in the Easter eggs in number 1 for down the road.
You could always go back to writing it, right? This took about a year and a half to publish. I was just honing it, but I already have chupacabras in South America that I've been, kind of throwing into the book, and, Nessie and Bigfoot. There is a world of cryptozoology that I want to marry, kind of like how Indiana Jones was all about the occult. Logan Osborne is all about cryptozoology, not crypto.
Not crypto.
Coin. I know nothing about
Wrong
crypto.
show.
I've been doing a ton of interviews. Mom's been my manager with publicity. She's been sending me these interviews. And I'm like, Logan Osborne is a crypto expert. And I'm like, that sounds terrible because I know nothing about crypto. So he's a cryptozoologist. And what's a cryptozoologist? The way Indy was into occult with Solomon's, the Ark of the Covenant and the aliens in that 4th movie, The Last Crusade. I'm an adventurer who's trying to make cryptozoology into something mainstream. And do you believe in Bigfoot, Eric? Do you believe in Nessie? Do you believe in the chupacabra?
At this point, yes. I believe in all of it. And there's so much evidence online, on YouTube, on TikTok, or the app formerly known as TikTok. Who the hell knows what that's going to become these days?
Elon's going to pick it up.
I believe in it. I think that there is so much more to this world. I think that there are some beings in this world that aren't necessarily in our reality. Obviously, we believe in spirit, right? So what does that mean? That means that there are different dimensions in this world. And I know of at least two. So why wouldn't these creatures that have been known through time, dragons, giants, creatures from the Black Lagoon, Nessie, why wouldn't they exist in another dimension and just peek their heads in every so often?
100%. And that's what I'm trying to explore here, to marry science with crypto, right? Cryptozoology. I have to stop saying crypto. Marrying science with cryptozoology is really the core of this book. And there's two meanings to Drag Down Deep, which I have to say, I don't like tooting my own horn. I'm the most non-ego guy on earth. I love complimenting people. I don't like getting compliments.
Sure.
Feels Drag Down Deep might be the best title I've ever come up with on a book.
Well, yeah, it has so many different meanings.
Two right off the bat. Logan's father dies in chapter 2. It's on the back of the book. And he's attacked by this mermaid in the Hamptons.
If you want to know anything about Michaels and his books, he writes from his surroundings, things that he knows. He wrote Poker Guys Vegas. He wrote Monsterland. It's located in between LA and Vegas. And then a lot of his older books that he's written, his spiritual romance,
Long Island,
were all Long Island based. So yes, like having a monster in the Hamptons is very on brand for Michael.
Now the idea of it, the Hamptons, Eric, what do you think? What do you think of when you hear the word Hamptons? Seriously, I know what I think of.
Rich Jewish moms.
Yeah, exactly. Not even Jewish, but just wealthy billionaires living on the South Shore, East Hampton and whatnot. We have some family members that live out there, and they're loaded. There's a Hamptons that's like a seedy underbelly of what goes underneath the wealthy people. And this guy, Logan, grew up in the Hamptons, in the poor area, the area that people don't come to during the summertime.
So that's everywhere. You look at the fires going on in LA now, everybody thinks that it's all rich and famous people. No, it's a working town. The majority of towns are working towns, working class people.
There's an area of Beverly Hills. I read this book by Fat Mike, who's the singer of NoFX, 6th favorite band of all time. Time. 6th. NoFX. Probably my number one punk band, but my 6th overall favorite band of all time. 30 years with NoFX, and I still listen to them. They still make it to my playlist, primarily in the summertime. Fat Mike grew up in Beverly Hills, and he's like, in his chapter, he's like, I'm sure you're thinking nice Beverly Hills, the nice area. There's a seedy underbelly of Beverly Hills that's not what you think it is. That's this Hamptons that I have, these kind of the working class, the lower middle class of the Hamptons. And this kid has to go back to, he's called back to his hometown because there's these murders that are happening in Drag Down Deep, and he is dragged down. Two things, emotionally, right? And I'll let the reader decide. Shining light on the darkness of his fears. This book is one big shadow work. I was doing shadow work and I had no idea that I was even doing that with Drag Down Deep. And then ultimately physically being dragged to the bottom of the ocean creature.
I have a question for you. When you're writing and researching your books, do you also help yourself? Like, does it help yourself emotionally, mentally? Like, how is it an outlet for you? Like, do you ever have epiphanies when writing about a character? Because I would assume that as a writer, because I'm not a writer, but I would assume as a writer, there's pieces of you in every single character in your books. When they have their lows and they have their highs, is that all coming from you, or is it still just being picked out of the air?
That's one of the best questions I've ever been asked about writing. There is a past, present, and future in every one of my works. And I always start my writing with the screenplay. I can't dive into writing a book. I need a roadmap. And that roadmap is always the screenplay. Bang out the screenplay, really hone it out, save the cat from page 1 to page 90, beat out every page.
I don't know if anyone is looking to write a book or a movie or a screenplay or just be a better storyteller. You can use this for content creation. Save the cat. Look it up on Amazon.
They're in documentaries. If you go watch a documentary, there's a beat sheet to documentaries. There's beat sheet to TV shows. Save the Cat breaks it down for the layman. Blake Snyder breaks it down, the formula of the film. And a lot of people don't like that. Tarantino doesn't follow that. Kubrick did not follow Save the Cat. But the other 99.999%.
There are exceptions to every rule. There are people that are just exceptional at their craft that carve out their own way of doing things.
Absolutely.
Going back to the question,
there's a past, present, and future in everything that I write. When I'm writing, the past could be characters that I've known in my life, and I call them characters, friends, family. It's not in a box. It could be a stranger that I've met that has kind of implanted their, beliefs into my subconscious mind, their character imprinted into my subconscious mind, and it comes out into my character work. You've been in a few of my books. Your quirks, the conversations you and I have had, have been involved in my books. Stuff that I've talked about on the golf course with some buddies. The past has always found its way into my works. The present is kind of what's going on now. Did you know there were aliens in the ocean, Eric? I mean, I wrote that 3 years ago. Wrote that there's aliens in the ocean.
Nothing is surprising.
It's exactly right. So then the future, this was crazy because there is some prophecy in my books. When I wrote Monsterland, I wrote about the rise of a megalomaniac dictator and keeping politics out of it. But that could be 1 million people in this day and age.
For sure. It could be a billionaire. It can be a politician.
I talked about a pandemic in Monsterland, and I wrote that in 2006. 2012, 2013.
Are you a prophet?
Well, I do have precognitive dreams. I've been having them my entire life. I decided to take Mom's psychic class. Our mother is a psychic medium. You believe your mom, right?
But you would have to think that you have to be a special type of person to be able to do it. And I've been leaning more into my intuition lately, and it really is amazing. And I asked, are you a prophet? Because I firmly believe that we all are, and that we all answer our own questions day in and day out. When you're learning to trust your intuition, you just have to trust your intuition of good timing, bad timing. Like, we took a break from the podcast, but then all of a sudden this week we woke up and we're like, holy shit, it's time. Hey, everybody, like, subscribe, share. We appreciate you all watching.